Welcome to Talk, More Money, More Problems. My name's Alex Hutton, and I work for Verizon Cyber Trust Security. One of the great things that I get to do there is work with my team on the 2008 and 2009 data breach investigations report. Anybody seen the document, read it? Thanks, hope didn't put you to sleep too quickly. One of the awesome things about this report is that it has some really great data. The data in the report usually represents incidents where the suits get involved, where there is significant pain. Right? So it's not necessarily, we don't get called out if, say, the wrong VLAN goes away in a fit of spastic change control, or if somebody puts a hard drive behind a copier or what have you. No, we get called in usually when there are significant losses. And not to open up a giant can of duh here, but one of the huge vectors for attacks is the web, right? And we keep seeing over and over again things like SQL injection, things like simple configuration problems. Those allow people to get in and cause bad things to happen. And one of the sad things is, if these people had simply asked for an expert to come help them and spend a little money, they would have saved a lot of pain. An expert not unlike Jeremiah Grossman here. Jeremiah is White Hat Security's founder and CTO. He was named one of the top CTOs by InfoWorld in 2007. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, so he likes to put Chris Hoff on the floor. He's not here, so that wasn't fair, and I hope he'll forgive me for that one. I'd also like to introduce my friend Trey Ford. Trey's the Director of Solutions Architecture there. He has about 6 years or plus in helping Fortune X companies in their information security concerns. He's also a PCI DSS curmudgeon, publicly helping keeping my friends Martin McKay and Anton Chuvakin up here in check, keeping them honest about PCI DSS. And he's also a private pilot, so if you really want to get scared, you can go up in a plane with him. And of course, they both work for White Hat Security. A little bit about White Hat: they provide website risk management services. They have this sweet SaaS platform that is, every week scanning thousands of customer sites, from the Fortune X, Fortune 20 to small to medium-sized businesses that have significant concerns, right? So that's nice PR speak for it. They get to hack stuff for a living. Right? They get to see all sorts of cool things, and in this presentation we're going to cover a handful of really cool things. Things that are used to make money, lots of money. All right, so one of the awesome things that we're starting to see is that in terms of malicious action, our report shows that hacking is yet again a significant cause. We're not seeing a lot of virus activity that is causing data breaches. We're seeing actual hacking. All right, but we only get called in, like I said, when there are credit cards, when there are social security numbers, when there's PII involved, right? This presentation, I think you'll really enjoy because it covers stuff that we don't really get called into, stuff that isn't even made public many times because there aren't reporting requirements. And if you're into probabilistic modeling like I am, when you don't have reporting, when you don't have media coverage, these are factors that make it less risky for an attacker to come after you, come after our clients, and use us as a source of supplemental income. Supplemental income used to make more money. With that, I want to give it over to Jeremiah and Trey Ford, White Hat Security.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I guess last year everybody liked the Get Rich or Die Trying talk, and it's our pleasure to be here and share with you what we know. For those that don't recall last year's presentation, we showed all sorts of ways to make really easy ways to make money, and anybody can do it. If you're looking for 0 days, go to the Metasploit track. The stuff we're doing is really simple. We're showing how to make some money breaking CAPTCHAs. We've showed how to manipulate payment systems. Showed how to really easy ways to manipulate numbers and hack banks and make a whole lot of cash that way. Scamming e-commerce. find press releases early and sort of manipulate the stock market. Everything from 4 to about 7 figures. Cool part about this stuff is they all work just fine. And we're finding more and more ways to do this stuff. So for those that recall, also last year, we made fun of Arsenic too. He couldn't figure out a way to hack an online poll for Chihuahuas, sort of like the hot or not of Chihuahuas for the Austin area. So sorry about that.
So one of the key components of last year's talk was that for the most part, most of those attacks were legal. Forget that crap. It's gone. This year we're focused on the money. Now, that was the legal boundary. We started focusing exclusively on these bounds of how to make loads and loads and loads of money. And we don't care if it's legal or not. The more we talked about it internally, we did some research, we talked with leadership, the lawyers got involved. So
did you bring the legal document? We have to read a release before we go on.
Bear with me, this will just take a second, guys.
Cool.
If anyone asked, we read it.
All right, let's go.
I love lawyers. So one of the other interesting things that we want to point out, guys, when we talk about hacking, we're talking about business. This is about cash, not cash that's going to get reported. For the most part, this stuff will get you investigated. How do we know? Look back at the Verizon data breach report again. For the most part, the people that got hacked, the people that got owned, they had to have someone else tell them. Like almost, or rather, over 2/3 of those people. The people that found out on their own did it on accident. Remember, we talked about like the QVC lady. We talked about the capacity planning exercise and the Amex Express codes. They found out on accident. So the likelihood that these types of attacks that we're going to review today are either going to get you caught, and I'm not encouraging you to try them, the likelihood that they're going to be bringing in Verizon and other suits or rolling the black Suburbans is going to be very low. But while we're talking about the people that got reported on, we also want to mention that you don't want to be that guy. Some of these people got the free press that you don't need, like the young man that broke into Sarah Palin's account, or the TJX guy, which, by the way, last year's talk, what was it? Get Rich or Die Trying? That was the inside code name for the TJX guys. They called it Operation Get Rich or Die Trying. We didn't know about that. And then there's the other guy. This isn't the same dude through the ages of time. What we're driving at here is the difference between getting caught, being completely anonymous, or publicly known. Getting rich, or spending the time in the clink.
So there's all different ways and different levels of sophistication when you're attacking systems. Most of us are familiar with the ones that are random opportunistic, the malware, worms, botnets, and things like that, where they hit everybody all the time. They're not authenticated. They don't really care who you are as long as they can infect you with something and throw it up on the website. We have the next layer up, which is more directed opportunistic. And by the way, these naming conventions all come from the data breach report. The directed opportunistic guys, they might have reverse engineered or maybe got a key to a commercial or an open source product, and they go, okay, I want to hack an e-commerce site today, pull out some credit card numbers and go to town. So those are the more directed opportunistic guys. And then we have the fully targeted, which we're gonna really dive in deep with our examples here. They customize their own tools. They focus on some business logic flaws, as we like to call it. They're clever, and they're very, very profit-driven. And as we move up the meter here, we're wondering, are we going to find the super hacker? We've been long told that, if you make your systems really, really secure, there's still that determined adversary that you can never really beat. So is that the super hacker? We're going to try to find it in these fully targeted hacks, and maybe the hacker meter makes sense. So to kick things off, I want to go over something called the Holiday Grinch bot. There was something on eBay. This was at the end of, I want to say 2008. A third-party firm contracted by eBay, something called Strobe Promotions. They put up a promotion where they had 1,000 items that they were going to give away for $1. Now, these weren't the average everyday prizes here. There was a 2009 Corvette, a plasma TV, a jet ski, diamond rings, good stuff that's certainly worth more than $1. Now, they would litter this out there on eBay, and if you were the first person to find and bid on one of these items, marked $1 is labeled, holiday doorbusters, you got the item. So what happened was some contestants used scripts to skip the buy part. They would search eBay, find it, skip the viewing the item step, and quickly buy the item in a matter of just moments. And what was interesting, as they were buying these items, the visitor count on there, did the person even see the item before they bought it? All these items were showing up with quad zeros. They were buying items for $1 without actually seeing the item. So users were really, really upset about it because almost all the items were won this way. So users were not happy, and they, voiced their response on the boards and didn't get, feedback or anything like that. And so they decided to put their own items up on eBay for $1 and label them holiday doorbusters. And this might get a little cut off here, but somebody put a picture of their cat up on eBay and labeled it holiday doorbusters, and the bots were buying the pictures of the cat.
We talked a little bit last year about breaking into email and outsourcing that. Well, there's a couple people more that we're going to talk about today that you don't want to be. You don't want to be this guy either. Sarah Palin's evidently not this young man, but we found that it's very, very simple and very important to certain people that others not appropriate access to their email. And so some of the password validation processes were very obviously broken. If you knew someone's email address, resetting this is very trivial, right? You find publicly accessible information like a birthday, where they reside, what their zip code is. And then you do a lot of research into their background, things that are really hard to figure out, like where did you meet your spouse? And you do even more research on them, like about where they've met their spouse and when they were born. And you've got mail, not a complicated hack.
So this doesn't make any money, though. We want to make money here. So this brings us to hacking email accounts, and I guess it depends on whose email account could lead to money. And is Dan Kaminsky here?
Oh, no you didn't. Oh.
Sorry, had to be done. Okay, maybe not in that case, but there are people that you can make money hacking email accounts, and one of them is a very popular one because it was nominated for a pony. So if you were there last night, you might be a little bit familiar with this. This was something called Strong Webmail, billed as the most secure email on the planet. Now, so you register accounts, they're free, and the way the system works is that even if somebody gets your username and password, they can't log in because the system will send an SMS to your phone with a special code. So you get the SMS code, you put it back into the site, and then you log in. So the theory goes, unless they have your username, password, and your cell phone, you really can't do it, but there might be just some SMS hacks around here. So to prove it, that this was the most secure email on the planet, they decided to host a contest. Now, we love contests. So in this particular case, the CEO, their username was their email address, ceo@strongwebmail.com, and they gave out their password just freely, Mustang85. Now they offered 10 grand to the first person that could break into the CEO's webmail account, and to make and that's the way it went. 200 people signed up, hackers of some sort, and they said, okay, we'll give a shot at this. And I want to highlight 3 of those particular hackers that were part of this group. One was Lance James, who literally wrote the book on phishing. And another one is Aviv Roth. Aviv is currently running the month of Twitter bugs. And we also have Mike Bailey. And Mike Bailey is a certified application security specialist. So right there, you gotta know these are not the guys you want hacking your website. So they chose the easiest route. Now, what is the most popular vulnerability out there? Cool, I wrote the book on that one. All right. So they spent a few minutes, find some cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, and nice little alert, we're familiar with these. Nice little demonstration, little screenshot that they gave. You see a little iframe in there showing that they can get HTML running in there. And they said, okay, what to do now? So here's their process. Number one, they registered an account, find some cross-site scripting issues. The cross-site scripting vulns are actually in the Rackspace webmail software, and the Strong Webmail software ran on top of that. They created their specially crafted email with all the code in it, the JavaScript malware and stuff, and they sent it to the CEO. Now the problem was they didn't know if the CEO was checking the account daily. It might have been just some fictitious account. So they did something pretty clever. They emailed support. They emailed support saying that they won the contest and they sent the details of how they did it to the CEO. Awesome. So now they were remotely hosting this malicious coda as I understand it. And within minutes, the emails were open, both of them, which initiated several AJAX requests. They pillaged the inbox, sent it all out, hooray for AJAX, and all the data to a remote scripting host. And they won the contest, and we have proof that they won it because here's the check that they got. Now, I'm looking at the handwriting on this, and I'm going, whoever wrote this did not want to write this check. Strong Webmail, to their credit, said they were not deterred by this event, and they came to the conclusion that they're going to fix the issues, and they're confident that they have the most secure webmail system on the planet, and that they'll have another one sometime. So stay tuned. So now, the contests come and go, but hacking webmail doesn't stop there. Again, another one that was a Ponia nominee was Twitter for their great response to this particular event. I'm just going to quickly walk you through this. There was a hacker by the name of Hacker Kroll. Now, he wants to hack Twitter. So the way he does it is he finds a mark, a Twitter employee, and finds their email address and their Gmail account. And he wants to go reset their email password. And the interesting thing was when he puts in the email address, they said, well, okay, we can email it to the secondary account, but we're not going to give you all the entire thing. They're going to put a lot of stars at h***.com. One could only guess what that one is, right? So it's some at Hotmail address. So what turns out, he finds the secondary Hotmail address and goes to the account to try to hack that one. He finds out that Hotmail account is deactivated for inactivity. So he re-registers it.
That's right.
And then creates the process again, resends these reset email from Gmail, picks it up in the Hotmail account, and goes forth. So he pilfers the inbox on Gmail and on Hotmail, looking for passwords and things like that to all kinds of web services, because we all know how to reuse passwords quite effectively. And what he did was something quite clever. He didn't want this person to know that he had access to the account. So what he did was he used the same password in one of the web services to reset the password back so the person had it just fine. That account gave them access to their Gmail apps account, which gave them access to all kinds of Twitter documentation and things like that, all their earnings reports and projections and things like that. And then he politely sends it all over to TechCrunch, and they start posting the stuff. One of the greatest notes in there, one of the notes that said there's a disturbance in the force. I thought it was kind of cool. So that account gave them access to that person's and Twitter's Amazon account, iTunes account, all sorts of things. Really nasty stuff, but it kind of shows you what can go on out there.
So last year we also talked a little bit about cheapskate and discount codes. Nothing's changed, right? Everything we talked about last year still works, and it still works today. So how many of you guys still go out and look for these quick discount codes? There's entire sites dedicated to this. They're everywhere.
Only 3. That'll change.
No, it won't.
Okay.
We talked about, if you go to the right conferences, you can get in there for free. And I think we talked about it the year before. But Apple doesn't write that code. That's just their event. What about free food?
Food. Everybody likes hacking for food. All right, so Domino's had this particular promotion. This is just recently, March 31, 2009, where you could go to the Domino's Pizza website, pick the store that you wanted to order from. You order one medium, one topping pizza, and you enter the coupon code bailout, sign of the times, and you get a pizza for free. You still have to go pick it up, but you get a pizza for free. Now, a couple of people, who found this decided to post it on their blogs, very popular blogs. One is the Cheapskate, and the other one is on the Consumerist, if you're familiar with it. Now, within 24 to 48 hours, and actually when I started talking about this, I got a direct message from Domino's the other day saying I had some of the details wrong, so I fixed it. Within 24 to 48 hours, Domino's had given away 11,000 pizzas. Apparently, this is a promotion that was not greenlit. It was some marketer's idea, and it wasn't a real code. Somebody just guessed it, and free pizzas started going out the door until they closed the promotion. Now, $77,000, just to visualize it, that is stack of money about, a foot tall, 2 feet wide. It's it's about that big, about, 8 pizza boxes.
That's totally manageable. So far, we've only talked about these one-shot wonders. These are basic attacks that are very, very simple. No super hacking involved yet, right? But these are one-shot attacks. They make just a little bit of money, some of them a little bit more than others. Mike, you're buying me a drink later. I wouldn't really call any of these hacking. A little bit on the strong mail stuff, but nothing too complicated. What we're about to talk about is scams that scale. We're talking about attack vectors that can be done over and over and over again. Because hacking is going to be looked like and treated like a business. Some of you guys are on the defense side, but what we're looking at here is scaling a business proposal. This is Plan B.
Plan B. All right, for those that weren't here last year, I'm just going to cover cookie stuffing just a little bit. Cookie stuffing, for those that are familiar with affiliate revenue, cookie stuffing is, instead of getting a person to click on a link, like you might see in the first box, you click on a link to go to the affiliate network and somebody gets cookied with your affiliate code, so later if they buy something, you get paid a commission. Instead of this way, with cookie stuffing, you iframe that same URL and you force them to click on that link and you force them to get cookie stuffed. And if you're really clever, you can make the height and width of an iframe 0 so nobody is the wiser. The affiliate networks, they get onto this, they're onto this stuff, and they said, okay, you registered with us at this site, but we're getting all these refers from these other pages here, so we're going to ban you. It's not technically criminally legal, but they can ban you and keep your cash, so that sucks. So what you can do is you can post your code on an SSL web page, and according to RFC, an SSL web page on an off-domain page will not send you refer off-domain. So the affiliate network doesn't really know where you're coming from when you're landing your cookie stuffing code. However, they will ban you for this too. Certain of them will, because they know you're doing this particular trick and trying to hide your tracks. So I'm going to give you a way to create completely legitimate refers to trip up their anti-fraud. So how does this work? So imagine for a moment there's this affiliate network, the affiliate network, and you have two sites. One is the black hat site and one is the white hat site. You register the white hat site with the affiliate network, and your two sites are not affiliated with each other in any visible way. So you register your real, nice site with the affiliate network. Now, your high traffic site, which it's a completely spammy page, they come up in the search rankings and the SERPs everywhere. What you do on this particular page is you iframe in your nice, white, clean blog or whatever it is. And what happens is your clean blog will check the refer that's coming from the black one there. And if the refer is coming from the black one, then and only then will the cookie stuffing code get injected. And it will, again, iframe in the affiliate network. So the affiliate network will never actually see the user coming from the black blog. It's an iframe within an iframe, and you'll redirect and bounce off. What happens in a forensic sort of situation, when the affiliate network goes, hey, this guy's converting like really well, they'll go and check this site here, but they will never see the cookie stuffing code because their traffic was not referred from those particular other pages that you own. Kind of makes sense here? Now, so that's one way. Here's another way that you might appreciate. I want you to imagine sites that have a high page rank, high trust level, high amount of traffic. Now, there's some of those sites have search engines on them. And if you're familiar with Google, you can do a site:/search for a particular site, so you can restrict your search results to just a particular site on the web, and whose links results do not have a no-follow in them, so otherwise you can't get any link juice out of it. And the URLs are not blocked by robots.txt, and do not redirect. So it seems like a lot of ifs, but I'm going to show you a couple examples here. Now, one of the interesting ones are the powered by Google. People will use the Google search engine to back end their site search, and you get these effects. So check out this URL here. This is a search for weather.com. I'm going to do a site:/search for mysite.com with the keyword. And what happens is I get links from the site weather.com or whatever site it is, all with my pages, whatever they are, with keywords. I'm forcing another site to link to me. I then put that link into my link farm and spam it out there. So now all of a sudden Google's crawler hits that link and they're indexing high PR sites with links to me.
SEO black hat.
So that's kind of what it looks like. So that's I'm site:/hackers.org in there. Hope you don't mind. Now, go ahead.
Well, it's not like there's any money in this. Last year we talked a little about monthly revenue. Again, we talked about attacks that are going to scale. This is a monthly paycheck for this type of SEO black hat work.
That's 132 grand.
It went further. This is $900,000. Now it's Canadian dollars. This is a little bit of a trick, right? Right.
One other caveat, technically speaking, this is for 2 months because the bank rejected the first payment because it was too big.
That's a problem. So I guess let's translate a little bit. Remember, we're focused on recurring revenue, driving this business. How many of you guys use the iPhone? I just went over to the iPhone. Any of you guys travel much? Spend a lot of time looking for local resources? I spend a lot of time living out of a suitcase. I find myself looking for taxi services. And I start seeing stuff like this. You see those little itty bitty dots? Why can't we solve the spam problem? This is Google spam. What's happening is for locksmith services, people are creating their own little businesses. It's really complicated. You click one of them and you click add or edit your business, and you've now created a business. You can poison regional searches. Now, this became a big scam. We found out about this because Verizon cleaned out a bunch of phone books based upon this type of a scam. Basic SEO. Take it further.
So here's the interesting thing about this guy here. This guy is a UK roofer. He decides that, okay, he wants to make some money using Google as a recon tool. So he starts using Google Earth to spot churches, homes and other places that have some dark color roofs, which he takes to be lead. He then goes out with his group of guys with a ladder, climbs up to the roofs, pillages all the lead, and then sells them off for scrap. And when they finally caught up with this particular guy, he had profited a little over $160,000 for scrap lead roofs. So they found this guy, they prosecuted him, and he's facing 8 months in prison, suspended 2-year sentence on 30 offenses. So this might get a little cut off here, but that same 8 pizza box stack of money, imagine now we have 2 of them, okay? So, again, here's the problem though. We're computer guys, not manual laborers. I'm not gonna go out with a ladder, right? So we want something with no manual labor required. This is where we get to this nice gentleman here. His name is Nicholas Arthur Woodhams, 23 years old, from Kalamazoo, Michigan. He sets up shop on something called the iPod Mechanic. Now, if you break your iPod, Apple has this nice program called the Abused Apple Advanced Replacement Program. And what he does is he starts guessing iPod and serial numbers. It's not technically an iPhone, but it's iPod serial numbers, puts them into the site, and they ask for a credit card too. So if you put your serial number in there, you put in your credit card number, and they send you a free iPod back, a replacement. And if you don't send them the old one, they bill the credit card you entered. So for him, he didn't want to get billed, he wanted to make some coin. So he uses Visa branded gift cards with a $1 pre-auth to satisfy their pre-auth. So what happens is he doesn't send back replacements. They tried to bill the credit card, and he just denies the charge, basically, and he starts getting free iPods. So he starts scaling his operation. He repeated the process over 9,000 times, resold the replacements at a heavily discounted price at about $50 through the iPod Mechanic store, and he got brought up on charges. Sorry, it's a little cut off on the bottom there. He first got found out for trademark infringement because he's the iPod Mechanic, and now he's facing charges for fraud and money laundering. But check out the quote here. Federal prosecutors have asked the U.S. District Court Judge Robert blah, 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 to seize real estate and personal property, including a 2004 Audi, a 2006 drag racer, as well as more than $500,000 in cash. Now, I don't know what a drag racer is, but I know what $500,000 in cash is. And that was after he bought the cars. So again, to visualize, now, that's those same George Washingtons stacked about as high as me, in addition to the 2 pizza boxes. So now we're making some serious cash that you can't carry around.
That's a truckload of cash. Now, I'm feeling bad because we're picking on Apple a lot. We're picking on Apple a lot. How many of you guys like the game Rock Band? How many of you actually think you can play or perform music or sell music? Oh, yes, you can. So a group of UK guys, little DJs, they put together 19 songs, and they found a distributor called TuneCore that would take their crappy music and move it up to the iTunes store. Now, we're business people. We don't get our hands dirty. We talked about outsourcing attacks, right? So what they did was acquired 1,500 stolen or cloned credit cards. They didn't steal them, right? And what they did was bought $800,000 of their own music off the iTunes store.
$10 at a time, apparently.
$10 at a time, very simple. So Apple and Amazon paid roughly $300,000 to these guys for royalties. And as they bought this over time, of course, they were overnight wonders, one-hit wonders. This album came out of nowhere. Never heard of these guys. This band hit the tops. So as they climbed through the ranks, of course, the royalties got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what happened was eventually the cloned credit cards started declining. And of course, they were tied back to them. They figured it out and they got busted. But what we're talking about here isn't hard to put together, right? This isn't a really technical attack. Does this sound like a super hacker? I keep saying super hacker. I'm not going to mention where that came from. Anybody can do this stuff. The skill level of the researcher or the attacker, it doesn't affect their ROI. And the people that got caught because they weren't trying not to get caught. Okay? Think about this. The DJ guys were using their own stolen credit cards. The iPod mechanic was mailing stuff to himself at home. You remember last year, he could have mailed it to like Hank Hill or something, all right? Either way, what they were doing was not thinking about getting caught. We have to assume, maybe it's not too much to assume, that smart people aren't getting caught. Are you tracking with me? Very, very simple.
So, maybe the super hackers we're looking for get paid to hack. And there's all kinds out there if you look online. Some you can get to pay to hack some Hotmail accounts. Some you write scripts for you. Some can hack, get password resets on MSN, eGold. People get paid to hack for all sorts of things. But one that was particularly interesting to us was was a story in a case with an online permit management program. So the Brazilian Environmental Ministry, they set up this site, and they wanted this online program to reduce the amount of paper that they were using in their permit process. So they put everything online. So this permit process was meant to track all the logging was done, all the permits for logging in and out of these 2 Brazilian states. One was in Para in the Amazon state. So what was interesting is this particular person here that works for Greenpeace here, this Andre, I'm not even going to pronounce the last name, was found some discrepancies in what was going on. So he mentioned to the Brazilian government that this system that they put in place was subject to fraud, and he was right. So they started investigating, and this is what we call the Amazonian rainforest hack. And I'm going to read this aloud just so you can get full effect here. Allegedly, 107 logging companies hired hackers to compromise the system, falsifying online records to increase the timber transport allocations. They were getting real but fraudulent permits to log, okay? So somebody asked them for their permit, they go, here's a permit. It's real, it's legit, and no, it says the wiser. The site was giving them permits. The police arrested 30 ringleaders, including 202 people, and now 202 people are facing prosecution. As a result, an estimated 1.7 million cubic meters of illegal timber have been smuggled out of the Amazon, enough to fill 780 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So, we don't have any technical details to give you on this. We emailed everybody we can find. We emailed Greenpeace, the Brazilian government. We emailed lawyers, reporters, personal contacts, people down there trying to figure out what the heck happened. We found absolutely nothing. Either no one knew or no one was talking. Nothing went anywhere as far as we can tell. It's tied under wraps, or who knows what's going on. And maybe the case is ongoing, sealed. We don't really know. So what do we do know? What we do know is the value of the hack because it said so in the news reports. That is how much the timber was worth coming out of the Amazon. Maybe these are the super hackers we're looking for. What we also know is that computer system is currently operational in 2 other Brazilian states and has been so for at least the last couple of years. So we said, okay, that's Brazil, they have really poor security. Maybe that's not the same as the US. So we started looking around at our online permit systems, and we found a couple interesting ones. You want to check?
Now, Because of what we do, we can't dig too far. But when we started poking into this, we found a couple of very interesting and very scary ways to play with these types of permit systems. One dealt with bringing people into the country. One of them dealt with transporting hazardous materials. One of them dealt with burning permits. There's a whole lot of stuff that can be played with. Now, we started thinking more and more about this. How many of you guys have ever poked at a gov site? Don't raise your hands. There's a certain level of concern about interacting with those sites. Jeremiah actually took some time to talk with some people and blog about the importance of possibly crowdsourcing. That's kind of a contentious subject, but the concern is, who's auditing government websites? Who's doing it? We decided, the US government's pretty solid, we love our country, it's gotta be fine, and then the KPMG report came out after auditing 70 different FAA sites. As a pilot, I found this interesting because 763 high-impact vulnerabilities were identified. We test a lot of sites, but that's a lot of vulnerabilities, guys. How many of you guys are flying home this weekend? Right. So what this came down to was we had to take a big look into our assessment strategy. How are we measuring these vulnerabilities? What are we going to do about it?
Just to reiterate one other point, these systems that they tested, they gave, if you read the report there, they gave links into air traffic control. Right? That's not, we kind of giggle about it, but jeez, man.
It's like live free, die hard stuff, except what? Is that real? No.
So we start looking at vulnerability assessment programs, security strategies, and the like, and there seems to be two prevailing security religions that you find out there. One is you focus on, you have these two religions. One says you find out your most important assets and you invest as many resources as you can to protect these assets. And the idea is that, let's say you have all the assets along the bottom and you have all the resources and money you have to spend going up the vertical. The more money you theoretically spend, the more secure that you're going to be, and you're starting to eliminate the bar for those particular hackers below, the fully targeted, the directed opportunistic, and the random opportunistic that we talked about. Now, the lesser important assets you don't spend any money on because we all don't have infinite budgets here, so we spend it all in one particular area and protect the crown jewels. The other prevailing, another philosophy out there says, you gotta get a baseline across the range because you might be able to hack a small insignificant asset and use that to back in a more important asset and all these kind of things. So it's more important to get a standard baseline across the range. Just enough to get that to meet or exceed the bar for the botnets and the random opportunistic guys. So from our point of view, when we start looking at web security, what we see out there, it's testing a lot of websites, you kind of need both out there. It's not everybody can take advantage of the same philosophy out there. You need solutions that, to be able to go comprehensive and to go wide, to scale this out. So you need some flexibility out there. And over time, we're hoping to remove this religion out of these two security paradigms and kind of bring some data. And that's why we're really interested in the Verizon report and seeing how it pairs with our data.
So what this led us to believe is that this attack classification gives us a bit of a misnomer. We talked about how attackers were either really sophisticated when they're fully targeted, real ninja hacker types, and I don't know, maybe this is a good time to pause and thank OWASP for helping all the script kiddies and other very simple folk like us be able to attack at this level. What we ultimately boiled this down to was there was no shortage of weak websites. We don't care what vertical they're in. These types of vulnerabilities are not hard to find. You just have to look for them. So maybe as an attacker, that's not the problem. Maybe if this is your plan B, your problem will be forgetting to not get caught. I may know a couple of you I'd be worried about. Maybe the problem isn't, learning those super hacker skills. This stuff isn't going to be complicated. So what we've come down to is a very simple problem. There's plenty of money to be made. When you start cutting up a pile of money that big from a simple government hack, you've got a bigger problem. What do you do with the money? How do you hide it? How do you move it? So for those of you that need help evaluating the plan B or maybe protecting against plan B, we'll be at the White Hat booth. For those of you who need help with this problem, DEF CON starts tomorrow. Thanks for coming out, guys.